The 80s was an interesting period of time for Taiwan. The White Terror, a period of martial law in Taiwan where people were punished for going up against the government, was starting to come to an end, and this would see the government of Taiwan changing from a single-party military dictatorship to a multi-party democracy. The White Terror was a theme used in a video game by Red Candle Games in their debut titled Detention. Not long after Detention's launch, Red Candle Games teased a new game that they are working on, a first-person atmospheric horror game titled Detention. Set in Taiwan during the 1980s, you play the role of father, and I do apologise if I mispronounce these names, Du Fengyu, a screenwriter married to Gong Lifeng, a successful actress, and Du Meixin, their young daughter. The game shows the family household during 4 parts of their lives: 1980, 1985, 1986, and 1987. During the course of the game, you discover that your daughter isn't exactly in the best of health, and you start seeing a mentor and praying to the goddess Siyu Guanyin. Guanyin herself is generally regarded as the protector of women and children, as well as the sick, disabled, and poor among the Chinese community. As you start seeing the mentor and turning to consulting her for everything, the game will show the effects of your devotion on your home and family. The game introduces people to some Asian beliefs and customs which play an integral role in the story. But is the game any good? Find out in The Good. Of course, the one thing an atmospheric horror game would need to thrive on is its atmosphere, and Detention plays its atmosphere very well. From the rundown and aged look of a corridor leading to the front entrance of an apartment, right down to the symbolism and models used in the game, a lot of the areas change when you focus on something or complete a task, and the game achieves its goal of unsettling you as you progress. Something about dolls and mannequins suddenly moving around behind your back really worries me at times. The themes that the game explores were well represented too. As I mentioned earlier, the game introduces the players to some beliefs and customs in Asian cultures, as well as the effects and expectations these had on society back then. Things such as Li Feng having to give up her job as an actress in order to become a loving wife and mother, Feng Yu being the main source of income, and a tradition called a birthday grab where a 1-year-old would grab and hold on to one of several items produced in front of them. Whichever one they held on to the most or longest would determine their career path. Combined with the game's atmosphere, the themes as well as the overarching one about devoting the well-being of your family to religion, no matter what the cost, kept the game interesting and me wanting to know more. The themes also had a symbolic meaning, and the gameplay and story tended to tie in around that. In saying that, I found that the story flowed well using the themes, symbolism and atmosphere, and I never really felt bored while playing through it. But not everything in Detention was perfect, so let's look at what I thought didn't go so well in The Bad. Much like Detention, I found that the game was a little short for my liking. I was able to get the game completed from start to finish in about 2 hours and still wanted to know more. There was very little room for error in Detention, with only one area, as far as I'm aware of, where you are chased and if caught, go back to an earlier checkpoint. I found the game was more forgiving than Detention while being a little more vague on clues. However, I will accept that the game has put more of an emphasis on its story and atmosphere, though I think maybe the amount of times you're caught or some of the actions that you do in the game should affect the mental state of your character or how the overall ending will play out. Outside of that, I didn't really have any issues with frame dipping, and I didn't come across any bugs in the game or anything that would force me to restart the game, so props for that. I didn't really have anything else to complain about here, so I think it's time for me to give the opinion. You know, I've always wondered what Red Candle Games was going to do next after Detention, and Detention did not disappoint. While it is a walking simulator with the odd jump scare, the game's reliance on atmosphere, themes and symbolism made for an interesting story. The game is only really let down by its short length. Having grown up around Chinese culture, a lot of it was relatable, and I remembered my time in Hong Kong going through apartment blocks, and the scenery was really captured well. If you like atmospheric horror games, or if you really liked Detention, then Detention is definitely a game to check out. Hell, I wouldn't mind seeing more games like this, or well, Chinese horrors in general. You've done a pretty good job of it, Red Candle Games, and I'll be keeping an eye out on what you have in store for us next. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would give Detention... well damn, I used Fatal Frame 2 as the rating for Detention. I guess I'll rate Detention, the Fatal Frame 2 remake on the Nintendo Wii, out of 10. Thanks for watching, and before we go, a huge thanks to everyone that's helped this channel grow. I never would have expected to hit episode 200 of Infinite Backlog Reviews, or even get anywhere near where we are today. Looking back at the very first episode we've done, it's been an interesting journey for 16-bit, Stingos and myself. but there's always room for improvement, and I'll carry on putting out reviews as it's become a hobby I really enjoy, and it's nice to hear people picking up games or looking at games that we've covered. So once again, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more episodes of Infinite Backlog Review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.